Thank you everybody for coming. This is Aleksi. He will be going through a few things that he's learned through his very successful career as a concept artist. You can check out some of his works in the description below with links to his socials, as well as additional information about some of the amazing features he's worked on, like the Black Widow and Thor Ragnarok. And I'll let you take over, Alexa. You can go ahead and share your screen.
Cool. So is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. You're good.
So hi, everybody. So it's 7 p.m. here in France. I'm really happy to be part of this Lightbox Expo event. Thanks also to Xencelabs for hosting me. So in the next hour, I will talk about some of few things that I've learned along the road of my professional career. It's too bad that I can't see you, so it's quite hard to speak in front of black screens and with only muted mics. So if you want to ask me some question, you can do through the chats, and I will take some few times to answer after the talk. So yeah, I won't speak only about technical things. So it's not only about drawing or paintings, but I will share with you some advices that I would have loved to hear and to get when I was younger. Okay, so let's go. And yeah, okay, so my name is Aleksi Briclot. I'm living in France. I did a lot of stuff, a lot of what's happening. I've got some issue. Okay, I'm sorry. Do you get my slides?
I don't see your screen yet.
Okay, so it was a total failure.
No, not yet.
And then yeah, it's better, I think.
Perfect. We can see that.
Okay, and I was there, beginning to talk about what I've done in my life. So I did a lot of images, basically creating universes, creating characters, and creating stories with visuals for board games, for book covers, for comic books covers like those one, illustration too, for collectible card games like Magic the Gathering, for which I've done a lot of different illustration and also concept arts, like those 5 first Planeswalkers, which are still some really famous characters in the game. What else? I did some art book with stories like this one, when we're trying to have a new and fresh look on Merlin, the Arthurian character. I did also some comic books for the French market, as well as some graphic novels for Todd McFarlane on Spawn, his main character. So it's something quite different from ConceptArt. And I've worked also on a lot of different video games. And I even co-founded my own video game studio, which is called Don't Not Entertainment, which released some games like Remember Me, Life is Strange, Vampire. And then, since a few years now, maybe 6 years, I came back to some of my childhood dream, working on the movie industries, on movies. And I worked on several different movies, and then joined the Marvel Studio core team, working with Ryan Murnerding and Andy Park. I think both of them are also part of the Lightbox Expo. So I was lucky, and I'm really proud to have worked on all those movies. And so for me, things started really early. When I was really young, I really liked this photo of my sister and me when we were kids. And as you can see, it's looking like I've sniffed the pen in front of me. I became berserk, and I covered the page in front of me with a ton of doodles. as my sister didn't even started on his own. But I was not only into drawing, I was really into movies, you know, sci-fi movies, fantasy movies. And so I was trying to produce, to create some prosthetic makeup with latex, some mask, also some model kits like spaceships or sci-fi environments, let's say. And there is another story with this spaceship. So you know, it's some kind of scratch model kits made by a lot of different things that you could find in your own kitchen or bathroom. So if you have a closer look, maybe you can recognize some straw, some what else, some pen's cap, some bottle caps. And you know, there's something quite magic with this, is that at first it's looking like some kind of weird collage with a lot of different colors and logos and stuff. But when you're applying the paint with a spray, metallic paint especially, then it's quite magic because it's becoming some kind of spaceship. And so with these model kits, I got some really brilliant idea. It was to take some photo in my garden, hanging this spaceship with some small nylon ropes in front of a huge black sheet. And so the black sheet was supposed to look like deep space. And the brilliant idea was to make a cut in the sheet, so just behind the spaceship, and to use something to create fire just at the place of the spaceship reactors. So we used some toilet paper rolls, still with my sister. She was still helping me on this. And so my sister was handling the toilet papers rolls just behind the spaceship. And we put the toilet papers on fire. But the black sheet behind wasn't looking at all like deep space, sorry. And the day we took the photo, it was windy. And so the fire burned the small and tight nylon rope that were handling the spaceship. And so my spaceship just crashed on the ground, and it was like several days, maybe weeks of work that were destroyed on the ground. So what I've learned from this is sometimes it's quite hard to confront your brilliant ideas, what you have in mind, to a reality. So it's part of the process. You could have a lot of awesome ideas, but then to make them concrete, it's much more harder. So yeah, I got some also, I learned something obvious from this. And also that keeping the passion and the enjoyment will bring you always further. So this is something that worked well for me. And so when I was younger also, I was really curious. When I was at school, sorry, as a student, and also when I became in the professional field. And when I was young, I was always trying to manage different skills and different style, different rendering, because as I say, I was curious. So it was always an exciting challenge, you know, to try something different, to learn a new style, or yeah, the excitement of doing something new, creating something new. And it was also linked to the fact that I was quite afraid of not finding any job. So for me, in my mind, if I was able to have a wide spectrum of skills and abilities, so the chances to find some job would be much higher. But there is a downside to this, is that you know, you're trying to master some skills, or but you can't master everything, so you're not good at anything. So it could quickly finished like this or this when your first goal was something closer to that. But for me, it was something that really went well. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, but I could add something like we are all different, and it's up to you to find your own way. I mean, and there is something also to keep in mind that sometimes when you, here is an advice to all the young student or artists, when you're working on your own portfolio, yeah, this is something that you have to keep in mind, that maybe it could be a strength then to be curious, and there's something like curiosity kills only the cats. I mean, it will always bring you something cool and something great at the end. But in your portfolio, if you're showing too much different styles, maybe your client could be lost. Like you won't be sure if he asks you, if he give you some commission. Yeah, how can he be sure that you will give him exactly what he wants, what he saw on one page of your portfolio, because the page after is completely different. So yeah, let's switch to another saying, like okay, so I said I talk about this, learn as much as you can, and it will always pay later, but also keep in mind what your client is looking for, its needs, and not only your own desires. And it's for both when you're in production as part of a team in a project. Think about the whole project and not only your task, but also if you're looking for a job, it's something to keep in mind when you are working on your own portfolio. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm sharing some saying like, a shrink or a personal development coach. But anyway, as I said, those are some advices that I would love to get when I was younger. And also something really important when you're working on a project, yeah, is to stop complaining. Like think about solving issues and not creating some. Think about your client, think about the other people in the team, and it will always be better for you. I mean, I've seen so many people complaining about the commission, about the client, about the art director, and something is wrong. I need some more datas. So yeah, maybe it could be some part of the job. And even, I mean, it's not only about the work; it's about how you live your life. Yeah, once again, it's a personal development coach who is speaking, and it will always be better for you and also for your career. So I'm switching to another topic. Here is a photo of one of my closest friends, who is Jean-Luc Cano. He's a quite famous writer who worked on movies, on screenplays, on comic books, Eric, and also on video games. He wrote the not only the plots but the stories of Life is Strange 1 and Life is Strange 2. So he got a lot of awards. And so when we met, we're sharing usually a lot about stories and creating universes, also how to write things. And so this is something that I learned from him. Like when you have to write, it's like getting stripped naked. I mean, it's about getting sincere, trying to find something meaningful and something deep in order to create emotion. And if I'm talking about that, it's that when we're talking about concept art, it's also about visual storytelling. and visual storytelling is all about telling stories. I mean, if we're working on a movie or video games, what the audience will see and what the audience will see at the end, it's not your own concept arts, it's the whole experience, the story and the game or the movie. So I think that it could be interesting for you to have some really more details or info about technique, story, advices or some hints at how to write some good screenplay or story. So there is a lot of different books like those one. And let's focus on the one on the right, which is called Save the Cat, written by Blake Snyder. So here, the main idea of on the cover is that when you are introducing your main character in the movie, if he's doing something good, like saving cats in the first minute of the movie, and saving the cat in a tree and giving him back to the old lady of the neighborhood, so you will feel a lot of empathy and sympathy to to this character. So let's talk a little bit more about this book, which is kind of brilliant, but as you will see, it is used sometimes, and it was used as some kind of how to write screenplays for dummies. So the story of the book and Blake Snyder is that Blake Snyder was some Hollywood script doctor working in Los Angeles in Hollywood in the movie industry. And so he was telling that when he was going to work, the whole trip, the whole journey was something like 1 hour and a half. And so he was listening to movies that he recorded on cassettes. And he just noticed that when he arrived on top of a hill halfway of the trip, he had to turn back the cassettes. And so he noticed that each time the story was quite at the same point. I mean, it was quite of the same event happening there. So from this and a lot of meta-analysis, so it's not only about movie, but he did a brilliant job learning about, how could I say, ancient or classical structure in theater to write story. And he creates and made a proposal with a beat sheet of 15 different beats. And this is something that you can maybe see in a lot of different companies or on a lot of different projects. And he even made a proposal for each of those 15 beats. He made a proposal about the number of pages, and even more, there's a proposal about the number of minutes, the time for each of those beats. But as I said, the downside is that there's so much movies then that we are looking quite the same. So here I've just used the movie posters to figure that. So I'm not talking exactly about those movies, but it's the same vibe, like you're looking at a movie, a blockbuster, and you feel like you've already seen the sequence or the movie. You had a feeling that you can figure what will happen in the next minutes. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes. And I was talking about that because I worked on a huge project, a big project, Chinese movie, which was $1,015,000, the budget, and which was a total failure, which was released only three days in China. And I think they didn't even try to do a worldwide release. Maybe sometimes they would do so, but And when I was working on this movie, for me, it was some kind of really awesome experience. I went to Los Angeles and I was working directly with the director, Peng Den, and also the writer and a team of other concept artists. So basically, we are lucky enough to create all the basics for this project. But as I say, they just got some really blurry hints of what the story could be about, and they were relating to the Blake Snyder beat sheets. And so maybe this was part of the, I don't know, I can tell, part of the failure of the movie is sometimes that shortcuts, it's also something that I've learned. Shortcuts could be really useful, but sometimes you have to do the right work and to do everything. So on this project, I've started also with some kind of logo. This is something that I'm doing on a lot of different projects. And you know, you get when you get a logo to play with, it's also a good way to think about the project, the essence, what is the project about sometimes. So let's say it could be some kind of philosophy exercise, thinking about the deep core of the project. And then when you're doing some concept, like this one, still on the same movie, when you're putting it on your concept, let's say on the left, on the right top corner, it's always looking faster, like some kind of real project. You know what I mean? We are just in a pre-production, talking about the projects, and now it's looking much more concrete. And in concept art, it's also part of what we have to do. I mean, it's sometimes some of the first step in the creative process, doing some few pictures that are the first images of the project just after the story, or sometimes in the same time that the story is written. And yeah, I got some other funny story. Once again, yeah, it's hard for me to not have to have only a black screen. So I hope you enjoy all those story at home. So let's add another one. So when we were sharing with Peng Deng, at some point he showed us a sequence that he just did as a choreograph or stunt choreographer. So he was working. He worked on a lot of different movies like Hellboy, Hellboy 2, Twilight, and this one is about Kingsman. I think it's the first one. So he showed us the draft of a sequence that he made with his stunts. So it was a sequence shot without any cut, with Colin Firth fighting a lot of crazy people in a church. So he added a lot of not fake, but you know, some rough blood effects. So it was really impressive. He told us that he was sure at this time that a lot of people would talk about this sequence. And I remember a few times after going to the bathroom and then coming back to the room when we were sharing ideas and yeah, working. And I did some kind of fake, you know, stunt or martial art moves, and doing some screams like oh, some noise. And I was just, I just thought, oh man, what did you do? You, it's not a friend, it's just a guy you met a few days ago. It's the director of the project. And, but it was really funny because I was feeling really comfortable, you know, in order to share more with him. And yeah, it was really nice experience. And so even him told us a lot of crazy story and a funny story about the movie, because he worked with Jet Li, with Jet Li, Jackie Chan. Jason Chan is another awesome artist, which is maybe here at the Lightbox Expo, and Jason Statham. So this guy told us a short story about some things that happened on a set on a movie. And so those two guys were training together, but it was like they were trying to outdo the other. And the director seems to be really nice with people, really gentle and quiet. But at some point, he felt really angry, and he asked the stunt choreographer to come, and also the US actor. And so he told them, just fuck you. So no need to translate that. And he made them a proposal, like if they want to find some really new and refreshing way to fight together, maybe they could do this with their dick out. And then he left the sets, so you can imagine the mood and the nice atmosphere on the sets. So let's say that I've learned something like getting stripped naked if you perform martial arts is not a good idea, but keep in mind that, yeah, when you're writing or creating a story or even a project, think about staying sincere and having something meaningful, something deep, something that you care for to share. And another funny story about this project is that I worked on the project one more month, doing a lot of different concept arts. And I did a video call with the director, and I just asked him if it was possible to add two different things in my agreements, like if the film would be shot, I would have loved to get a role as an extra on the set, and also some few training with the master himself, who was the director. So Peng, the director, laughed at my joke. Nothing happened finally, but let's say that here's another thing that I've learned, that if you don't try, if you don't ask, then nothing will happen to you, nothing will happen. Let's switch to another topic. So I did several comic books in my career, some for the French markets, as well as two different graphic novels, Spawn graphic novels, Spawn being the main characters created by the mighty Todd McFarlane. So on this one, this was the second one, I think I did 44 pages, the drawing, the painting, the colors, the graphic design, even the title, the opening, the back cover. So I did a lot of things. It was quite exciting. But you know, for me, maybe comic books, I'm still working on my own comic book right now, but it's something that I really love, but something really, really hard, because you know, you have to act like some kind of director, choosing the camera angles, to work on a graphic design of the pages, to create the character. So it's about character concepts, to create the set, to think about the pace, to think about the rhythm. So much things to do. And so this is something that I've learned from a friend of mine, who is also a comic book artist, working on a lot of different French comic books. And I went to his workshop, to his office, and so the usual number of pages for a French comic book is 44. And so he puts 44 nails on the wall of his office, just around his desk and table. And the idea was for him to put on all of his nails every pages at every step. Like, you know, if he gets only the storyboard, so he put the storyboard on the nail, then when I finished the pencils, he put a copy of the pencils on the nail, and the same thing for all the 44 nails around. So the cool thing is that in one single glance, he was able to have a complete overview of the project, to see what he has finished and what was still remaining to finished. So this is something that I've learned and applied on my own work, let's say on these projects. And yeah, it's a great way of keeping some kind of a really fresh overview on the whole book. On this page, you can see the different colors for each sequences. And so I used the technique of my friend, and on his kind of walkthrough, I've added some green crosses, some when the pages was supposed to be finished, some orange crosses when the pages were still needing a lot of work, and red crosses when it was just the start, the beginning. And I was also lying to myself, let's say cheating, because I was often using some green crosses, even if the pages were not completely finished. So it was a good way for me to keep the motivation high and to avoid feeling demoralized. I mean, there's so much to do on this comic book. So this is something that I've learned about in order to avoid procrastination. It's a good way is to divide your goal, the project, in smaller tasks. So you don't think about the whole mountain as a wall, but you're focusing on one step after the other. And there is also some things that I've learned from this comic books experience. I finished one of those books, and I think it was a really big amount of hours. I think I didn't sleep the last 2 days just in order to meet the deadlines. And I remember it was a long time ago. I just gave my girlfriend a phone call, and I was talking about everything that I was feeling that I've missed or I didn't do great enough. So I was focusing on everything that I could have done better and everything that I will do best after. And my girlfriend told me that I should focus on the instance, on the fact of on focusing on the achievements. I mean, just being able to finish the book, finish the project, it's already something really really intense. And then we'll see for the next project. But yeah, something like being in a moment and yeah, focusing on the achievements is something really important. And I'm back to concept art. So when we're talking about concept art, it's just a small part or parts of a bigger creative process. I mean, I've already talked about that just before. At the end, it's all about one experience, a video game or a movie, a whole story, an experience. And so you are producing a lot of different concepts to feed the machine, to develop and find new ideas, to define things, to define characters, to define the environments. But there will be sometimes it's quite painful because there's a lot of your work that will end in the garbage. But it's not because your work is bad. It's because, and sometimes your work is not used, but it was part of the process to find the best idea of what the director or the client was looking for, or the team was looking for to find the good vibe. And here is another story that I really like when I was younger. So I didn't, I just read this story. I wasn't there with those guys. So this guy is called Rob Bottin. He was some kind of legend, some kind of, he was some famous superstar in practical effects back in the days for movies when he was creating practical things. Let's say he worked in creating quite everything on the scene, from John Carpenter The Howling, Even on 7. He created Robocop. He created all the creatures from Total Recall, and also the big red demon from Darkness, the Darkness from Legend, sorry, with Tom Cruise. And so the story was that he was sharing his workshop with a lot of other crazy, talented guys, superstar makeup artists and sculptors. And between some movies, when they didn't, when they haven't any work to do, they were challenging themselves. So finding some topic and working on them. And one of those topics was creating a zombie. And so Rob Bottin, even before sculpting anything, told the whole crew, all the other guys, that he had already won the concept, the challenge, because all the other guys were preparing their tools and beginning to sculpt clays and things. But he was feeling like he had some really better idea to creating something really impressive. So let's say it was also a long time ago, just before the CGI era, when you have to create everything in front of the camera without using any special effects, computer generated effects. And so he just explained that he thought about putting some mirror in the suit of a zombie that he would have sculpted. And so the idea was to create some kind of a hole, like, you know, like the light would be coming from behind the zombie, and so it would create some kind of a empty space in the zombie. And so this is something adding a lot more than only creating or sculpting rotten meat and stuff. This is something that I found really interesting. And here my main idea is always keep in mind that your brain is your main tool. So it's really important. I won't lie, drawing and your painting skills will be always the really, really important. But I think you can make the difference with your ideas and the way you're thinking and all your creative process, not only the drawing skills. At least, once again, this is something that went really well for me. So yeah, let's say in the same kind of idea, there is the importance of references and culture. Sounds obvious once again, but it's part of the job. So yeah, let's say each time you are starting a new project, except if it's really, you get a really tight deadline, always start with working on references, finding documentation and reading about your topic. And here I will share some thoughts, some things that one friend of mine told me, another concept artist. So we are talking about concept arts, and he was telling me or explaining that concept art for him was some kind of collage, you know, just having some good tastes and the ability to pick up different ideas and reference in different catalogs and putting them together. So this is, in my opinion, something really quite smart. Yeah, good taste, sorry, good taste. And it's all about mixing different things. But if you're not working on your skills and some kind of craftsmanship, sometimes, let's say we talk about a chimera, you know, the Greek mythological creature. And so you can maybe get this kind of results, awful results, if you're not working on your skills. So yeah, it's some kind of balance to find between the ideas and the skills. And so there's also something linked to this topic, is try to avoid to be a copy of a copy. I mean, I remember in the 90s, there were a lot of different comic books artists that you can see in their work who learn to draw comic books only by copying some other comic books artists. So it could be really powerful and really, I mean, interesting and great. But I mean, you need to have a wider, more references from life to look at more things that only comic books. And it's not only comic books. Let's say talking about concept arts, it's trying to avoid to refer to only concept arts that you've already seen. Try to develop something fresh and something new. And me in my process, so I'm sorry, I would avoid to show some to make some advertisement for the GAFA, but yeah, it's not about the tool. It's just different things. Like as I said, when I'm working on a project, at first I'm trying to read about it, to find some more documentation, and yeah.
Thank you, Aleksi. We have about 5 minutes, and you have a lot of great questions waiting to ask. So is now a good time to get into Q&A?
I'm sorry, because I was thinking it was 1 hour.
Yeah, so we have to stop the live stream at around 10:50 to 10:55. You have you want to take your presentation a little bit longer and then get into Q&A? You would have
maybe I'm quite close to the end.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you can continue.
Yeah, just I'm taking notes on my phone, vocal notes, and images, and so I was just
Great. Okay.
To share more things about mind mapping. So for me, it's a good way to find a new and fresh ideas. I mean, for concepts, I'm always starting right in the center of my page with the title, the name of the topic, and then it's all about a cloud or keywords and trying to link them. When I'm looking at some new references, there is some new I don't know, yes, some new keywords that are quickly popping. And then for me, it's like a thought pattern. And usually when I'm finished this, so for me, the goal is not to do some kind of crazy or some sketches. It's much more about finding the good idea. And my clients, always keep in mind that my client is not paying for those pages, even if I'm sharing with them those, but it's just a part of the creative process. But as I said, it's allow me to define 3 different lines of work. And so when I'm starting on my computer, when I'm starting painting, I'm avoiding everything like, doodling for trying to doodle something and random doodles, and you don't know what to do. So this is really a tool that is really useful for me. And so let me know if I got a few minutes just to finish, or if you prefer me trying to answer some question.
You can finish. I would say you have about 2 more minutes until we would need to step into Q&A. You still have more questions coming in.
Okay, I will do my best. And as I said, if it's not, if I don't get enough time, I will try to type and to answer after. And so this one is a mind map I've done on Surtur, on Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok. And just an example, yes, Surtur. So I've read that this creature, is one of the older sentient creature of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And also it's all linked to fire. Like in the comic book, he's looking like some kind of red bodybuilder with fire all around, and with some few clothes hiding his sex. And so this is something that you cannot show on a movie in 2018. You have to find something much more exciting and impressive. And so let's talk about fire. So if you think about fire, there's a lot of different things that you can do with it, like plasma, like bradero, like a volcano, like eruption, like solar eruption, like lava, like crusted lava. So those are some of the first early proposals I've made for the characters at Marvel Studios during the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks. And so just look at this one. It's all about solidified lava. You can see just in the crust and in the cracks some of the hot lava inside. So it's I'm still dealing with some kind of fire, but in different way. This one, I said that this creature was some kind of the older sentient creature of the Marvel universe. So I was dealing with some armor, plate armor, and some fabrics and clothes referring to a Greek and Roman mythology, just to make it part of a civilization, to give him this sentient ability. And playing with fire, I was thinking about the fact it was part of the script, like he went into a lot of different battles, and he was still trying to heal from the last one. And so there was a lot of fire inside, like he's some kind of a god creature, some divine creature. And so there's a lot of primal energy inside, and so he's still trying to heal. And so I will just finish quickly with some few other proposals. This one was some of the closest to the end. Taika Waititi, director, came with a nice idea, was to play with the skeleton inside. Like you can see through the body, you can see some hint of the skeleton. But it was a nice idea on paper. I was dealing with it. But when you're thinking about realistic movie, when you have to create some realistic effects on screen, you know that you cannot deal with radiography, transparency, and fire, because fire is emitting light. But anyways, there was a lot of work on this one, and I was completely amazed of discovering my own my character on the screen on the first Thor Ragnarok trailer facing the Hulk. So it was some kind of a huge achievement. And let's say this is the end of all my stories for today.
Awesome. What a great slide to end on. I loved watching that Ragnarok scene.
Cool.
So we have quite a few questions to run through. A lot of them have to do with getting into concept art career, but I'll start with Chelsea Helms.
Okay.
She was asking.
Okay, so is there a way I can read the question?
Yeah. Let me get you a link to that as well. Chelsea Helms is asking, what advice do you have for creatives to find their specific styles?
Wow, what a question. Sometimes it could be the matter of years to find your own style. Is doing something that you love is, in my opinion, it's really useful to try different things. Like maybe I've met people who worked in company in the middle or being part of a team, and this is something that they really like. But sometimes there's some other people really are better at working alone. And I think just an example, it could be helpful to even if you feel that you are better alone, maybe it sometimes could be useful to just try to join a company at some point, just to work with the team, and then you will know better about yourself if you are able, or if you like to work with people around, being part of a project, like it's like sports, like a team, or if you're better at just doing your stuff on your own. I'm not judging, it's two different things, but and yes, sometimes at the beginning it could be also useful to I was talking about avoiding copy, but it could be useful to copy the work of some masters, some people that you like. But a good way to avoid being only some kind of poor copy would be to get a lot of different influences, not picking only one, but choosing a lot of different one. I don't know if I answer to Chelsea.
Yeah, that seems like a great answer. Just being versatile and just going for it, even if you don't know your style. I think that was a great answer.
I don't know.
Rosemary.
If you have me on the camera, or if it's still my slide.
It's still your slide because you're still slide
Okay,
sharing.
no problem. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great slide to stay on. And then Rosemary IE is, what's the process or design pipeline in making concepts?
So I told at the end of my talk about mind mapping. So for me, this is sometimes, or maybe most of the time, the start, the beginning. I'm receiving the commission, the notes. Usually it's from Ryan Menarding at Marvel Studio or Andy Park. Hello, Andy. And so first thing, if I got enough time, I mean, if it's not for noon or the afternoon, I'm trying to gather references, to read about the topic, to learn more, to make some, I told about keywords and to link different things. And so from this, you can have maybe a look at my talk. I was really fast at the end, but I was talking about defining 3 different lines of work. And so when I'm moving to my computer in front of my screen, just when I have to paint, I've already had 3 strong direction. And so I will provide three different concept arts, 3 different direction. So it's important also to keep in mind what you think the director or your client is looking for. Let's say for me, each movie is different, so I'm doing my homeworks, and I'm trying to see the profile of the director to know what would be better to do for him. And and then it's a lot of sweat and sometimes pain and a lot of work.
Yeah, the outcome of your creations are amazing. And we have time for one last question, which is coming from William Martone. And he or she is asking, do you have any advice for someone trying to get their first job in the concept art industry?
I'm not sure those people were listening to my talk. this was something that I was trying to share with them. So I should say, try to keep in mind what your client is looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have an interview in a video games company, if you're doing some comic book pages, could be really interesting. But let's say just keep only one. I mean, it's useless to show 30 different pages if the client is just looking for video games. And even for video games, just look at the profile of the company. If you're going to a huge company, I don't know, let's say Ubisoft, or look at the kind of game they are doing. If they are doing some, let's say you have a meeting at a company doing Call of Duty, so maybe that certainly that it would be useful to get tons of crazy fantasy creature. And are you still there? Or I'm just
yeah, no, I'm listening.
Okay. I was afraid of talking alone in my living room.
No, you're not alone.
Okay, cool. So just keep in mind and try to do your homework and look at the clients you're looking for. It could be really useful, and just also to develop the kind of work that your clients could be looking for.
That's great. Well, thank you, Aleksi, again. The comments are going to be in this chat, and Aleksi will address any additional questions that he missed in the description and chat below. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. Join into the lives coming up, and make sure to check out the description so you can get to know Aleksi a little bit more, and also enter the giveaway that we've kind of hid everywhere. So thank you again, and see you guys soon. Thank you, Aleksi.
Thank you.